What I am holding right now is a cylinder of bread, baked in our very own SST Biolab. So how this works is that according to the lock and key model, the substrate runs into the active site of an enzyme and forms an enzyme-substrate complex due to the complementary shape pairing between the substrate and the enzyme. Subsequently, products are formed, and these products break away from the enzyme. This applies to yeast in bread too. There is a special enzyme in yeast called zymase, which breaks down sucrose into ethanol and carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is what causes bread to rise, as it creates air pockets when released. In this experiment, we will be investigating the effect of different types of yeast on the rising of bread. We hypothesize that baker's yeast will outperform normal yeast, or Phoon Huat yeast, and will have a better result in terms of the height of dough raised. Now, we will move on to the experiment.
Our experiment involves creating the dough with the tested yeast, letting them sit to measure the rise of the dough before baking, and subsequently baking the dough in an oven to measure the rise after baking.
For the ingredients, we used sucrose, the tested yeast, which are Phoon Huat yeast and baker's yeast, plain flour, salt, and canola oil. For the equipment, we used measuring cups, measuring spoons, glass thermometers, spoon spatula things, a large bowl, and beakers. After mixing all the ingredients, we have obtained the bread dough, which we will then bake and afterwards measure the height of dough raised.
For this experiment, we measured two different sets of values for each yeast dough. The height raised in dough from the original height of 3.5 cm before and after baking. For each set of values, we took the average of the three values to ensure better accuracy in our final results. For baker's yeast, the dough rose by an average of 6.4 cm before baking and rose by an average of 7.3 cm after baking. Meanwhile, for Phoon Huat's yeast, the dough rose by an average of 1.7 cm before baking and rose by an average of 5.3 cm after baking.
Analyzing our final results allows us to realize that baker's yeast was more effective in rising bread dough in both the pre-bake stage and the bake stage. This is indicated by larger increase in height for baker's yeast of 7.3 cm after baking compared to the increase of 5.3 cm for Phoon Huat's yeast after baking. However, it is worth noting that if we compare the difference in height increase between the pre-bake stage and the bake stage, Phoon Huat's yeast had a significantly larger difference. This is shown by baker's yeast difference being 0.9 cm, while Phoon Huat's yeast difference being 3.6 cm. As baker's yeast was more effective in rising bread dough in both stages, this shows that our hypothesis is proven correct. Hence, of the two tested yeasts, we conclude that baker's yeast is a better alternative than Phoon Huat's yeast as it results in a larger height raise. Disclaimer: don't eat the bread you bake in the lab. Thank you and have a nice day.